Yo, how's everybody doing? College of the Canyons. It's your boy, Jorge Ventura, back. Meaning of the Minds, episode 11. We got Skylar back in the building. It seems like we haven't had Skylar here in like 2 or 3 episodes.
You
gets
keep
weird.
Trying to go on Wednesdays, and I got class on Wednesdays, so I can't do it.
Okay, yeah. So we got to make it work. But no, I'm glad to finally be back. And now that's kind of the end of the year, dude. It's kind of like you kind of appreciate like the podcasting. You appreciate like. I don't know, man, because I live close to AVC, dude. So yeah. I'm so glad I don't go over there. And College of the Canyons actually has a pretty great media program and everything. So since we don't have any guests, we're going to be going through some various random topics that are in my head and all that stuff. So we're going to start off.
We're meeting the mind. Yeah. That's Jorge Ventura.
First I got a question for Skylar because I don't know what's going on here, bro. And I know you know what's going on. So I'm just flat out. And this is so I woke up. Obviously, then I went to my journalism class and stuff, and then everyone's talking about this whole Trump visiting Israel.
Right.
Now, I don't know the exact details. It seems like from what I'm portraying it now, as someone who doesn't know, that he's doing somewhat of a good thing, something about peace, treaty. I don't know.
So here's the thing. Like with him going to Israel, it is a good thing. You know, it keeps our. It keeps our relations with Israel very strong.
Okay.
But the main thing is that after he may or may not have accidentally leaked an Israeli informant to the Russians, he kind of needs to do this because he's on shaky grounds with Israel right now. And, like, while this may be a good thing, last week, and if you ever watched Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, like, he goes into this, last week was a hellhole of a week. Like, it was story after story after story after story about just scandals constantly from this administration. And he leaves on Friday, another story breaks, and he's in Israel for 9 days.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, because so in your opinion, though, right now, you say it's something that we want, correct? Or
so long as he keeps the meeting diplomatic, he very much tries to strengthen our alliance and doesn't try to do anything Trump-like. It's a good thing, you know, but Trump has such a major ego and is so has such a lax in judgment that, you know, it can go either way. It can be a really good thing for us, or it can really hurt our alliance with Israel.
Okay, cool. See, man, yeah, because I kind of want to know what's going on with everything right now. Because I've just been studying a whole bunch of stuff, and like I said, I have like a whole bunch of random topics in my head. Let's kind of go into some more of a business kind of topic. And I kind of want to get Skylar's opinion. I'll kind of give mine. I've been watching extensive interviews on Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon.
Okay.
And I like a lot of the stuff he's saying, and I was actually surprised. The way they think is obviously with this whole online retail, his biggest competitions are like the Walmart's, Targets. But he's so focused, and I love it. He's so customer oriented. He said he doesn't think about the competition. But this is where some stuff is getting weird, dude. I didn't know about this. When they developed Alexa from Amazon, right?
Right.
Alexa, I guess, has learning capabilities, this machine. And over time, it'll start to notice your interest, and it'll just get comfortable with you. And there's, I guess, what we say to it goes into some type of storage, and they, like, work on it. And then he was then saying, I mean, we all probably know this, but he's like, many of the apps you guys use now have the microphones. He's like, so when they're in your pocket, they can tap into those conversations.
Yes.
Do you think, you know, someone as powerful as Jeff Bezos, like, basically what I'm trying to say is he trying to now, is he kind of exploiting privacy in a way? Because I've heard, and I don't know if it's true, I would have to look it up again. He came to some type of agreement with like the CIA or FBI or something.
Well, a lot of tech companies, there is a situation where some tech companies have allowed investigations into the CIA or from the FBI, the CIA, blah 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 blah, in order to track down terrorists and other things. There's a bunch of companies that do this. However, and have you heard about the story of WannaCry yet?
I have not.
So WannaCry, and it became a big story last week and the week before, is this ransomware. And what it does is that it takes over your computer. Okay. It ransoms your computer. It holds it hostage until you pay it like $500-$600. And it has the ability to completely trash your hard drive.
If you don't pay.
And so, and in the UK, the National Health Services, the NHS, got completely hit by this thing. And over 200,000 computers have been hit. Now, in terms of the overall size of computers, small amount. But the only reason why this virus is able to exist on your computer is because of a loop, or is because of a back door that the CIA had known about and was exploiting, and eventually that had gotten out. So while I understand that, like, working with the CIA, FBI in order to track down criminals and terrorists is a good thing, giving them access to these back doors, giving them access to a lot of this private information, while can be helpful, is really risky.
Right.
It's just a matter of time before we get to that point where, what if someone that you don't want to have it gets a hold of it?
So and the thing is that I'm trying to get to now is, and I'm saying is, because entrepreneurs are technically, they're just problem solvers, man. And the thing is
sometimes,
yeah, we'll keep it at sometimes. But right now, do you fear, as a citizen, let's say as a normal consumer, do you fear that your apps or certain things are going to know you too well? Like, are you scared that, like, for example, your Best Buy app will get to know you way too well because you buy
no,
I'm
actually not scared of that. And that's actually what I want.
Okay, so
I want the apps to learn. I want there to be some sort of artificial intelligence built into these things, because what I don't want is that going back to the company to store that they can sell. That's what I don't want.
Okay.
So, like, if you build, like, so what I want is kind of similar to how Google does it without the selling, is that they build kind of this portfolio and they kind of put you into those portfolios. So they judge on your clicks, on your likes, on the things that you check out on YouTube and Facebook and things you Google. It checks all of that stuff. And then it builds an ad portfolio to try to target you with ads. Now,
that makes sense.
Google says they don't pay to give specific people to advertisers, but it's kind of very similar. Now, the second they start selling individual people's privacy rather than the profiles,
that's when
it gets a little like, it gets.
And I feel complex. Like as a consumer, we won't really know that information, but I like the recommendation part, because I want the app to show me things. I guess maybe in other different type of apps, I guess retail wouldn't be a good example. Maybe other apps, it could make some people feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Here's a good example of something that I think is very good in terms of the learning. The Nest thermostat.
Okay.
So the Nest thermostat, you start setting it, and the more you set it to certain degrees, it starts learning. All right. So, and then it learns when you're home, what are your active hours, so it can conserve energy. It keeps the house the way you want it. So if it knows that you're about to be home in about 20 minutes, it'll start cooling the house before you get there.
Okay, that's smart.
And
that's smart.
There's a couple other things like that, and I think Alexa kind of does something similar to that. And there's a bunch of other apps and companies and devices that do these type of things that learn based on habits, and they learn your habits rather than learning who you are as a person. And I like that because it helps automate your life better, so you don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about the dumb stuff.
That's true, man. Yeah, and it's crazy. I'm actually pretty excited for what the future holds, and I like companies like Amazon who are now innovating into the drones. Yeah. And I'm really fascinated by all these creations and things going on in the world.
I actually want to get your idea on that. Then, what do you think about self-driving cars?
That one, actually, I just was having a conversation this morning, and personally, I would like to head that way. I hope. If like guys like Elon Musk and them keep innovating ways, we go to that. Now, this is where I was having a conversation with my friend. I'm saying, let's look at this as a problem solver standpoint. Okay, so let's say if we're gonna have self-driving cars, it's almost like if we're gonna shift to self-driving cars, I feel like as a society we all have to shift to it. I feel like first it'll start off where like the self-driving cars will be expensive, like 70, 80 grand, and then we're going to go through that phase where Tesla's going right now, where they're saying, you know what, let's make it for the average American. So they'll drop it to the 35 grand, 30. So when my thing is, let's say I'm the inventor or the entrepreneur of this, I'm saying, hey, if we can make self-driving cars, this is what we can knock out. We can knock out accidents. We could take care of drunk driving all in one, bro. You could let's say we put a drunk person in a self-driving car. That car should be able to get to the location without needing that guy's help. I think it should be where like you go in there and you put home, it locates the address, and then it's like on a way. It can not only help us, dude, with car accidents, so that helps obviously like fatalities and stuff.
It lowers car accidents. It doesn't eliminate them.
Yeah, it won't eliminate them, but it will lower them, and I think that helps the DUI. It will help a lot, and I think another thing, and I don't know, maybe this might be too much, but it could help people when it comes to speeding tickets and all that. Yeah. I think that's huge. But I don't know.
I agree with you, actually.
Yeah.
I like all those benefits. But here's in terms of the personal life thing. And while as a societal thing, I love all that. Like, it can reduce, drunk driving accidents. It can reduce all that, all the negative stuff that comes with driving. But also, how often are you doing nothing but driving while you're driving? How often are you sitting in traffic for an hour and a half a day that you aren't getting back?
True.
With self-driving cars, you now have an hour and a half to sit in your car, maybe read a book, maybe catch up on work, do something, watch a podcast, do stuff that you would normally do in your free time that you would normally be spending to driving. You now get that time back.
You get that time back. I never thought about it like that, too. Yeah, like, for example, if let's say you're in a rush in the morning, you hop in the car, and let's say you're going to work. Now in those 35 minutes, instead of paying attention to traffic and all that stuff, and you're being edgy, you could read that book, you could read that newspaper, knowing you'll get there safely. And I think now self-driving is more important than ever, dude, just because of the distractions we have now.
Oh, no, 100%.
Just the smartphone problem is obviously we could go on for like hours.
Smartphones aren't even like smartphones
it's the
are
people,
a problem.
Obviously.
Well, like smartphones are a problem, but like we also have to remember that like distracted driving has existed for a long time, and cell phones just kind of made it a little bit more noticeable because in the past, young drivers only be distracted by the normal things, and then you'd have the older drivers who are distracted things like makeup and children and distractions that were really detrimental.
Right.
Then you bring the cell phone in, and on top of just being, not the best with experienced drivers, now you also add that distraction factor in there, and that's when cell phones really change the conversation of distracted driving.
Yeah, man. I just hope, like I said, I hope we could knock on that door and do something innovative because I want to be at a point where like I'm talking to my kids and they're looking at like driving cars as like, dude, you lived in that time? That's old.
Now, here's
that might even be like a thing that we're like in our history books for our kids. Dude, they might look at the history books and they see a human behind the wheel. They're like, "What? What is that?"
No, I actually don't 100% believe that'll happen. I actually think and I have people I work with that love driving, and I don't doubt them because
that's true.
There's those people that just love. They're the car junkies.
They're the car junkies. Yep.
They want to build the fastest car. They want to feel that rush of speed. And I think. While self-driving cars, I want to say, will end up being the norm for the average day person, I don't think that you'll go to a completely automated road system,
that's true.
Which is
that might
where,
be true.
Why I say that accidents aren't going to go away, why I say that drunk driving is not going to go away, why I say all these things aren't going to go away, because we can't force people to give up driving cars. We can just present them with a better alternative and hope they go to it. And that's the job of the entrepreneur, is to innovate to something that people want without trying to stop.
Yeah, what we could do is now, if we go into self-driving, then we would do it into like almost everything would have to become like a two-highway system where like, hey, this highway's for all cars going self-driven.
I don't think that'll ever happen, though, because it costs too much money to the state to build two highways.
But let's just say, for example, like let's say it's just the future, we had the money, the infrastructure, because it could even be something where like, hey, this highway here is strictly for the self-driven,
right?
And if you still choose to drive, then you have it. But like you said, that's something that obviously will cost a lot of money, but it's just something that we're kind of playing around with, which is pretty cool.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
What's something right now that would be pretty badass that would be inventing that like no one's really even like. You know what I'm saying? Like self-driving, obviously, people are messing around with it. But what's something that right now you could think of that, like, you think we really haven't even got into?
Well, something that, and this is something that I have been.
Possible, would you say? Like, even 10% possible?
Something that is not only possible, but we're already starting down the path, and we're starting on the path of it. And it's something that I have been hugely curious and excited for, but also very, like, I want to see how the world reacts to this, which is human augmentation. And we're hitting up on a break, so I just want to give you a brief, and we'll talk about it after the break.
No problem.
But human augmentation, basically, we have people losing their limbs and they have prosthetics, but at what point do these prosthetics become better than humans? At what point can they develop things that are better than is already naturally built into us, and that people want to start building those onto ourselves regardless, whether or not we've lost a limb or we've lost that functionality. So, I want to get your take on that as well, and we'll come back after our break, and we'll dive really deep in that, dude.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, bro. Because that like you said, it could get to a point where you're completely healthy, but why wouldn't you want that robot arm?
Yeah.
Or, you know, and like I said, we'll go into a quick break before we even dissect that one. Yeah, because that one's a little bit. Now I'm thinking about all these.
Deep thing.
That's what I know. I'm thinking all this crazy shit in my head. Well, yeah, we'll do a quick break and we'll be back. Boom, meeting of the minds. Okay, so if we're gonna talk about these kind of robotic parts, what's the correct term with the P?
So prosthetics are what we use today. What I'm curious about and what I'm excited for is specifically human augmentation. So the idea of augmenting what you are born with machines in order to do better.
I completely think, this is my opinion, if we go into that, it'll be cool, but bro, I just know people, bro. We're gonna get too greedy. It's gonna get to a point where people are just not even gonna be happy with human body parts. We're gonna get into that. But if we get into that, now can we then dive into eternal life? Because now we're messing with body parts. For instance, like let's say we had an uncle, right?
Right.
And he was paralyzed, and then this technology came out. Now he has legs again. It's like, what else can we get into with that then?
Well, so with human augmentation, the debate that I am more curious about is the playing God. Because like,
okay, I like where this is headed because I have some opinions on it
because
too.
The idea that we can take what we have spent millions upon millions of years evolving into, and now we're able to speed up our own evolution to overcome any problems that we find. Physically, any problem with muscle dystrophy, any problem with eyesight, with any problem with insert a problem with a human body here, and you can find an answer for that in human augmentation.
This get too fucking crazy, dude.
and then you can find like a solution to that. At what point does
it become too much? Almost, right?
Does it become too much, or at what point
do we cross over?
Or at what point do you say, are we no longer Homo sapiens?
Which, damn, because I was actually listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan, and he was saying that he thinks in the future that we're so, as of right now, dude, and I'm like, and I realized it when he said it, we are so fascinated with technology, bro.
Right.
Like, we love it. The phones, drones, all these tablets, and he's like, there's going to have to be a point in our society where the human is going to cross with the machinery, with the technology. Mm-hmm. This could even be a point. Like that you were saying with repressing the body parts, because first it's going to start with the athletes. Obviously, athletes get injured or something happens, we go there, and I think it's already being used with militaries, right? With military veterans, I'm saying like whoever.
Yeah, military veterans who are trying to live everyday life will get these prostheses.
And I agree with you. At one point, then is it that we're messing with God? If now this is for those that believe in it. Yeah. So I'll just say right now that I do.
Right.
And then I'm gonna hop into this, and I want your opinion on this.
Right.
I don't like. And I'm going to just say it, I know I'm probably going to get heat. The transgender thing, to me, is a thing that messes with God, because you are trying to change a gender that you were born with, bro. I mean, what do you feel about that?
So,
that to me is like a...
So, in terms of like the crossing onto the territory of God, I am agnostic. All right? Okay. In my opinion, there's no way to prove or disprove either way of anything, blah, 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 blah. We don't have the ability to do so.
Right.
So that's where I am at. However, when it comes to crossing into the territory of God, when it comes to like human augmentation, I say that we have the domain of creation. All right? And I think that it's a natural thing. And, as humans, we've always been scared about, the rise of the AI, the rise of the machine. However, I think that's not the human way. People are so scared of, like, the Terminator, of the Matrix. They're so scared of that they're not looking at the fact that we're so already integrated with machine and technology that's the way we're going to go. We're going to become half organic, half synthetic. And I think that's just the natural evolution of it. We get to a point where we are evolving technology faster than we are evolving organically. And I think that you have to integrate that part. And then it comes down to, well, how do you get too much? And we'll get to that debate when we end up crossing that line. But I think overall it's better for the species to evolve in such a way because now we're in control of our destiny. Any problem that we ever have throughout the future of humanity, anytime we get to, we can do something about it. We can change who we are. We don't have to wait thousands upon thousands of years for us to change. We can just do it. We can be the change that we want to see. And then in terms of like your transgender thing, what I'll say with this is, there are studies that show that there are actual problems. All right, so there's a psychological disorder called gender dysphoria. Okay, and gender dysphoria originally was treated in a way that was terrible. It was absolutely terrible, and so why transgenderism is really a big thing and why it's so important that we embrace it more. Is that, or at least right now, I should say that it's important to embrace it right now, is because we've seen more success with transitioning from man to woman, woman to man, when people who have gender dysphoria, who are transgendered, because you see a higher chance of survival with them.
Okay.
Because of the way that they're societally interacting with their own gender and the way that society interacts with them, they have this weird disconnect where they 100% feel that because of the way society treats this X thing, they are that X thing. Everything that hits the box of a woman, I hit that. But I was born with
male.
The Y chromosome, but I'm obviously in every box that marks women. And I feel just so out of place that it's better to transition to be a woman than to pretend that I'm not. And that's kind of the mindset of what it is. Okay. So it's more about saving. It's a tough thing. It's so complex. It's so interesting because it's psychology and sociology and all of these different things that are playing into the fact that these people are just going through something incredibly tough.
And different.
And the suicide rate is still so
high, dude. Did you? What? I don't know if I was watching the Ben Shapiro video on YouTube.
Right.
He was saying something like, and I would have to confirm it again, but it was like 70%, bro.
It's about 60%.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, bro. So out of 10, at least 6 will commit suicide.
6 out of every 10 transgendered people are likely to take their life, and that used to be higher. That used to be so much higher.
Dummy high, bro. That's so crazy.
And we've gotten the number that low, and so now it's a matter of. And I'm going to give my opinion on this. And I normally don't like to give my full opinion when it comes to stuff like this. But my opinion is I think it's a sociological issue. And I think it has 100% to do with our Judeo-Christian background. And I think the rigidity that Christianity has given male and female roles, it has caused this problem. Because, there's this idea that if you're a man, you have to do this, 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 and this. And if you're a woman, you have to do this, 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 and this. But the modern society has nothing to do with those things anymore. We're not in this era where, hunter-gathering is a major thing. You don't have guys who need to be the breadwinner for the family. You can have women do it.
Yeah, we're going to a different era.
And I think that because of the way that we have assigned gender roles, that women are this thing and men are this thing, that it has caused this weird psychological break for some people who don't want to be those things. And I think it's people who want to be what they are interacting with society that is pretty rigid. And I think the more that we kind of break from those Judeo-Christian roots, the more that we become a modern society that accepts everyone and wants everyone to just, hey, you know what? Yep. You want to be a guy who teaches elementary school children? Dude, be on it.
Yeah, you don't have to be like a manly construction worker and all that. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
If you want to embrace your femininity, embrace the things that you want to be pretty as a guy, dude, freaking do it.
Yeah,
Welcome to 2017. Be allowed to do that. But we exist in a society that demonizes and harms these people, and I think that is a really big factor that causes transgenderism.
Yeah, like I said, it's a big thing. I could hit it multiple ways. One way I'll kind of hit it, I feel like the media played a part in promoting it. And this is where I'll tell you, because I've seen it on multiple TV shows, the way they promoted it. The big one, and this is going to relate to me because I'm a sports fan, and it changed also my opinion on ESPN of me wanting to work there in the future. But ESPN, and I know you heard the news probably like a month ago, they fired like 100 employees, journalists, I'm talking about TV personalities, radio. And a big thing, when I was listening to this one sports guy talk about the whole breakdown of ESPN, he hit it so right on many points because I remember it during the time. ESPN messed up when they crossed over from being sports to let's kind of get liberal with it. Let's kind of play our part. And this is what I didn't like they did. They award Caitlyn Jenner Woman of the Year.
Right.
That was a big downfall for them. Then they started, in a little bit, they went into this election. They didn't get into it as big, but I think that was a big turnoff for a lot of people because I feel like they were
stepping outside of what they're known.
Yeah, and I feel like they were trying to like get their audience in a way to just accept it, because there's gonna be a large part of ESPN fans that when they would watch that Caitlyn Jenner thing, dude, it pissed them off, bro. Like, because I talked to these sport fans, you know, they didn't like that. They didn't like the way ESPN was going. Obviously, then the ESPN lost subscriptions and stuff. So we're headed that direction. My thing was, and I want to get your opinion. Maybe I'm crazy on this, but I think it's weird, dude, how out of all the families in the world, the most scrutinized family, maybe to this day in this era, the Kardashians. How come it had to be that family, dude, that Bruce did that? And it
No, you're about to get the best breakdown of all time because it is all OJ's fault. No, I'm being serious. It is all OJ Simpson's fault. Without OJ Simpson hiring someone to murder his wife, Cochran doesn't become his lawyer. Cochran doesn't get OJ Simpson off the charge. You no longer have a daughter that's seen in the public spotlight who ends up having sex set with Ray J. And like, it doesn't matter on like who it was. It was the fact that one, Ray J at the time was pretty big rapper.
Yeah, he was. At that time, he was.
He was a pretty big rapper. And two, she was the daughter of one of the lawyers who got O.J. Simpson off the charge.
Yeah.
That thrust her into the public spotlight and took a family who was maybe a C-list celebrity, you know, and put them into the B-list. And then they took that and they grabbed more and they became an A-list, you know. And now they're rubbing shoulders with, you know, Kanye West and all these other big names. And it all stems back to O.J. Simpson wanting to kill his wife. It all stemmed all the way back to that case.
Yeah, it's just, oh, man.
It's all the way back to that. And when it comes to the Caitlyn Jenner thing, holy fuck, I hate that woman. And not like, I hate Caitlyn Jenner, but not because of any of the reasons that some people on the right want to give, like, oh man, I can't see why Bruce Jenner wants to become a woman. That's not my thing. You want to be a woman? Go right ahead. Do you. I can't tell you what to do. That's not my life.
Right.
Okay? But remember, this is a person that murdered someone, or at least was the cause of someone's death.
They played a part in it.
You know, she ran over someone and killed them. All right? At the very least, it was a neglectful death that caused a manslaughter. All right? Now, on that alone, hell no should she be Woman of the Year. Hell no. There are way better people. You have Malala Yousafzai, all right, who was shot in the face for wanting to get equal education for women in the Middle East. How the hell is she not Woman of the Year? But Caitlyn Jenner, who killed or might have been complacent in the killing of someone, all right, and the biggest accomplishment that she has accomplished within 30-some-odd years is transitioning, all right? There's way better role models in the transgender community. There's way better role models in the women community than this person. And you know, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I just thought it was, I don't know, I didn't like it, dude, because I just feel it was like, if in a way they're trying to get us to accept something subconsciously with us like agreeing to it. Because for you to give Caitlyn Jenner Woman of the Year, it's like, what are you even saying to the other women in the audience? Like,
oh yeah,
you know.
Like even if it was like a transgender woman who had accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like the last thing that like as Bruce Jenner, the last thing that Caitlyn Jenner had did was the Olympics.
Yeah, and that has nothing to do with sports, and that's what ESPN is based off. So it's like that's
like the last thing that he did as a man that was noteworthy was winning gold in the Olympics back in the 80s.
80s, dude. We're in like 2016 when she got the award. But we're gonna do a quick break. We'll come back for the last part of the show. This will be the last semester. And damn, so when me and Skylar are here, we could, yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on with me, but no, we could get into some deep things, and we'll come back for the last portion and hit it off. And then maybe we create some controversy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, let's see what happens.
Boom, and we are back. Meeting of the Minds, episode 11, and this would be the last episode of the semester. We will be back next semester, which is the awesome thing. So shout out to all the guests that were actually on the show previous on Meeting of the Minds. You guys made the show possible and awesome. So we're getting into some pretty crazy stuff over here on this side, and basically right now, man, it's 2017. And it's a crazy era. And I would say, and I kind of want to finish out with something like, how would, people our age who want to attain some type of level of success, I feel like right now, it's a little bit tougher than ever for everybody. I feel with TV, the people around you, it's something that, I don't know, I'm very observant, and I think, and then I want to get your opinion on this, Skylar, but maybe it's I'm going to put it the millennials, but it got to a point, bro, where we're at a point, like, every weekend, people literally just go out and drink. Literally every weekend. And it's kind of sad because it's like, I feel like right now, if us young people could be more innovative, I'm not saying, hey, every weekend you got to put some work in, but if we start to maybe really, hold down ourselves to some better discipline, I feel like we could create a lot of bigger things because we are the next ones up. And so, I don't know. I just feel like right now, dude, the generation, it might even be the music playing a huge part in this, where it's almost like people are like proud of you or look up to you when you're like drinking every weekend, dude. And it's getting weird. And is there a way to reverse that? Because I was listening to a TED Talk, and this guy's like, what he does now, he's just built schools at like third world countries. Right. What changed to even do that was, I guess he was like on a European trip, or no, he was like in Africa, and he told this kid in Africa who's like really poor, he's like, if you could have anything in the world, what would you want if I could give you anything right now? And he was expecting like, iPod or whatever, or this, whatever. The kid's like, all I want is a pencil. And he was like, what? Right. He's like, a pencil? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I just want to go to school and be a doctor and take care of my village. Right. And then that like blew his mind. And it's kind of like, and if we kind of take it back to our time, dude, right now, we live in that era where, bro, we get the education, we get the school, and it's like kids just demise it. They like hate the thought of school, hate the thought of learning, hate the thought of picking up a book. You ask a kid in Africa, bro, who has nothing, would love getting books. You know?
I think what it is that we are.
Is it too privileged in the United States?
No, it's not that. I think it's how we've come to display it. And ultimately, because when I'm going through school,
Right.
There's so many people that I hear hate math. There's
and I'm
so
one
many,
of them. And I'm one of them, yeah. And I'm one of them when it
but
comes
see,
to math. Right.
Literally, math is the most important thing to learn. 100%. Math is more important than English, more important than science, more important than history, more important than anything. Math is number one. And the reason why is because math applies to all of those things. Maybe not history so much, but science, 100%. English, definitely. There's a lot of math in English. And, it's a lot about the thought process and the logic that goes into math. But we don't present it like that. We just present, you need to know 2 + 2 = 4 because you need to know that 2
Yeah,
+ 2
you need to
=
know
4.
it.
We don't present the reason why you need to know this. We never present it as you need to learn algebra because that's the type of thinking that you have to do in terms of the real world. We never present the real world situations. And there are some teachers that do, but majority don't. And it comes to a lot of the way that schooling is. We do it because the idea is you need to learn. You need to go to school because you need to get because you need to go to college. You need to go to college because you need to get a job. You need to go to get a job because you need to get money in order to live.
Right.
All right. And that's the basic thought process that so many people do. But the problem is that's not entirely true. It is at its basis level. At its basic level, it's true. You need to do that because that's how you succeed in life. You need to go to school. You need to get that education because ultimately everything costs money, and we live in a world that has an economy.
Right. And what I would say is I feel, and maybe I know you probably agree to some portion of it, but our school system in a way is very flawed now. There's something we have to change. Okay. Yes. We need more engagement with the students, kids. I think right now, dude, we're doing too much of a dumb down. And I'll go through a personal experience real quick. I think what affected me in high school a lot was, and I wish we could do a better way in explaining this to our students, and it was I reflected myself as a person to the grades I was getting. So when in high school, I was basically your average kid, C's, like B's every once in a while, never an A. So when I would get C's, dude, and I'm a high school student, no one, and I'm not, this is not, I didn't have any mentors on YouTube when I was learning stuff. I would get that, and I would put that as me as, oh, dude, I'm just a C person out here.
Right.
I can't do nothing big.
Right.
And then after high school finishes, my confidence was low. I'm like, well, dude, my grades are not going to get me to university. You see my friends go to university. I'm like, dude, I'm just a C individual. And I go out to society like that. Is there something that we could do where, like, hey, like, we need something, bro, in place where, here, we could still give the grades.
So let me show you the UK, okay? So in the UK, you were about a 70% average.
Yeah, I would say like just a C student. I'm just your average kid.
You have an A in UK.
Bam, see?
From 60 to 70%. B, 50 to 60 is a C. D is 40 to 59% or 49%, and then a fail is 0 to 40.
Yeah,
and that's the UK, and that's crazy, there's a lot of systems that do that. And the reason why we have our grading system is because. Actually, I don't know the history of it, but like what it does, I should say, the reason why our grading system is so detrimental is because of what, like you said, it puts people in this mindset that average is not good.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's average in something, all right? Everyone's average in something. And, I am a fantastic test taker. One of the highest STAR testing scores in the state when I was going through high school. I had a really high SAT. I had a near perfect ACT. I am an amazing test taker. I had a 2.3 GPA in high school.
Damn.
I was a C average student in high school. Phenomenal test taker. But I'm shit at homework. And that's what it is. And we tailored it, and you can kind of blame President George W. Bush for this with standardization. And when he created the No Child Left Behind Act, it created this weird problem. And if you go to Alabama, you go to like these really poor countries in like the South and the North and all these places that are really poor and had really crappy education systems, it raised them up really well. It created a really good standard that they had to meet. But for places like here in Santa Clarita and the rest of California who had an amazing education system, it brought us down. Because we had to meet these standards now. We couldn't tailor the education. And that's the issue with our education system now is we are not tailoring it to the student anymore.
Exactly.
We're tailoring it to try and get results on the masses, not to the person.
Not the individual. And the thing is, and I have a huge problem with this, is in my high school, what they should teach you is skills that, like, we don't even know we need. Like, no one in high school, bro, never mentioned sales, which is crazy to me. Like, I feel like you need that. Now, that's a personal thing. But what I'm big on is they should teach you taxes. They should teach you how to take out loans, investments.
Yep.
Hey, if you're going to go to college and you're going to take out a student loan, we designed a plan to help you get out of debt, or we did this, or this is how you get a home, or this is how you rent an apartment. This is how you do this. This is how you get your first car. That's like so left out. It's like crazy to me, dude. And I had, well, obviously it's just graduation time, but I already had a bunch of friends graduate, and they're all back home with their mom, just like, boom, debt, back home.
Yeah.
Now what?
No, and it's the other thing, and I think this is really important to mention, is that I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of the degree. And I think people understand that a degree is important, but I don't think they understand
The
why.
important, okay.
And I don't think people understand the purpose of it. And so you get to like a bachelor's of science, all right? I want to be a bioengineer, and I have a bunch of people who have degrees in psychology and all this stuff, and one of them's working in a library. Has a degree in psychology.
But is working in the library.
And, well, hey, being a librarian's not a bad career.
Not bad, yeah.
You know, we need libraries. Libraries are incredibly important to society.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
But, you know, she should have gotten a library tech degree if she wanted to go that path. And, or certificate. I don't remember if it's a degree or certificate. But with psychology, how do you utilize that degree? In which way do you utilize that degree? And I think a big problem with our higher education system is they don't teach people how do you use the degree. How do you utilize this? It's important to have it, but what do you want to do?
Now, maybe, okay, so are you saying that, because this is where I agree with you, do we need to teach our students, and I always said this, maybe because I like I said, I like the sales, marketing, all that stuff, and I think we could use those skills in any type of degree. That's my personal opinion. And so maybe we should do a class, bro, not saying we, but maybe there should be a class where there should be a workshop that says how to network and build relationships with your degree. Because I think the college should take some type of responsibility. Like, say, like you said, how is she going to get a psychology degree now is working in a library?
I actually don't think that needs to be a degree or a class. What I think it needs to be is that
like
I think
networking,
it needs to be,
teaching you kind of.
No, I don't think it needs
so?
to be a class. And I'll explain why, is that I think that just should be built into classes. The classes that are already there should have that idea already, that mindset already placed inside them. So it doesn't need to be its own separate thing. It needs to be integrated.
Yeah,
it needs to be integrated. And so ultimately, and the problem with the world as it is today is not, it's not the going out drinking every weekend. That's been happening for decades. That's been happening since the 50s.
Before Prohibition and all that. Yeah.
That's been happening for decades, if not century. That type of like fundamental behavior has been ingrained in humanity for centuries. The difference is that we are given tools we don't know how to use, and we're told to use them. So it's like giving a kid an atom bomb, or let me rephrase: it's like a kid being given nuclear potential and not told how to use it, and he ends up creating an atom bomb instead of a nuclear reactor.
Right.
And it's a weird metaphor, but it's kind of true. I have this degree. I don't know what to do with it. Or I have this education. I don't know why I should have it. And I don't know why I should value it. And the older you get, the more you understand that. But by that point, you're really far into it, and it's a lot harder to get to that point. And so what we need to do in terms of education, what we need to do in terms of our higher education is show the value, show and make people understand why this is important. Not just how it can affect you and how it can help you be better, but why it can do that. So, do you want to be a firefighter? Yeah? Here's the steps you need to take to get there. Do you want to be a scientist? What type of scientist? Here's what you got to do. Here's what you got to be aware of and what you got to know about in order to get to that point. And my roommate says this all the time. give information. The more information you have, the better decisions you can make, and the better off your life is in general.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I just, I don't know, man. I just feel like I hate seeing a bunch of college students because the thing is, obviously, I'm in college. My major is going to be journalism, which is obviously going to be a tough competitive field when it comes to
100%.
Yeah,
it's hard.
when it comes to getting a job, is like, and this is where I'm gonna go back. I think this is what helped me personally to differentiate myself from others. Is I went out to the real world, got beat up by the real world, and then now have that mindset now when I'm back in college. Because now when I'm in college, I'm like, you know what? I know how to network myself. I know how to do this. Right. I know how to do this. I'm like, and I learned sales. So I've used sales tactics and journalism all the time. Do you feel like should students kind of take that route? Because I feel like that helped me a lot, rather than the kid who, hey, right out of high school, hangs out summer, then goes to a 4-year college, they get a degree. But they have never even had like a real job interview. You know what I'm saying? They never really been in a. I think that's tough, dude.
I do think that internships
help, obviously.
Internships are there. There's been evidence to show that internships have no
would you say
benefit to hiring.
Okay.
So, like,
well, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
damn.
People who get an internship have a 1% better chance than people who don't.
Okay.
So it's not that big of an issue. However, what's better is that you understand the process, and I think that's more important with internships. Is you understand the process of going to get a job, and you understand that, you know. And for us in journalism, internships are very important because it helps show us the job in the actual context. But in terms of getting another job in the future, it doesn't help. It's not better on the resume. It's just better at giving you the skills. And so I think that understanding the job force, understanding how the workforce works is very important. I think every person that wants to go and work, you know, so for those people who are obscenely rich that never have to work a day in your life, if you don't want to work, don't get a job. Please do not. All right? You're going to ruin it for all of us who want to get a job.
Yeah.
You know, you're ruining it for us, to be honest. You know, but ultimately, you know, it's all about information. The more information and the more understanding that we can give people, the better off it is.
Man, dude, and like I said, we're going into a weird little stage, and I know we're wrapping up here, but like I'm listening to a couple CEOs even say in their interviews, they're like, hey, if you're coming out of college, you come to me with a degree, I'm ripping and say, what the fuck have you done? They're, you know, maybe because it's a business side, but what they're saying is, if you're gonna come up with a degree, I don't want to see a degree. It's like, show me what have you done. Like if you're coming in your degrees on marketing, show me numbers of people you have already marketed and you brought profits for. That's what I want to see. Well, do you feel like that's what we heard as college students?
I don't agree with that. And the reason why I don't, for certain things, for like business degrees and stuff like that, sure. But like,
because I feel like that's a different field. You can't really teach business until you're fully blown in there.
So I understand that mindset, but like, there's a reason degrees are important, which is that they give you the training. So I understand his sentiment, but I also think he's devaluing why the degree is important to begin with, which is that if you spent 4 years on a bachelor degree, you have 4 years of experience. It might not be real-life application experience, but that guy is going to be better than the person who has no experience or a little bit of real-world experience. That person's going to be better, because he has the official training and more nuanced training than the person who had to learn it on their own.
Boom.
That's how we do.
That's how we do it. All right, guys. Episode 11. Thanks for watching Meeting of the Minds. Those who are watching on Instagram Live, you can click the link in the bio just in case you missed anything. And then we're going to wrap it up. Last podcast of the semester, man. I'm kind of sad because over the summer we can't podcast, but we'll be back fall 2017. Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Sign off. Oh, yeah, wait.
Oh, man.
Where can they follow you on social media?
Oh, you can follow me at SOLUSBRINGER. That is my Twitter and my Instagram. Follow my official Facebook at Skylar Barti, my journalism page. I'm trying to do more, prepare for new stuff next semester.
Yeah, we both need to be up on the content, dude. I want both of us flowing with crazy information.
I really need to get into it.
Yeah, so me and Skylar this summer, we're not going to be partying. We're going to be working on content to give you guys for the fall. Well, we want to blow up.
Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/SOLUS, our Solace Bringer. I am trying to stream more.
Yes.
I'm very much trying to stream more.
Yes, stream, media, like it, content. Yes. Boom. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for listening. Then we'll see you guys next semester. Boom.